what's up? Today, I'm gonna show you a 20-minute crispy chicken Caesar that's perfect for a craveable weeknight dinner. In this video, I'm gonna show you all the mistakes that people make when it comes to making chicken cutlets and exactly how to fix them. And I'm also gonna show you a 2-minute from scratch speed Caesar dressing that you can bust out super fast anytime you want a good Caesar. To get started, I'll grab 4 6-ounce chicken breast fillets. Breast fillets, if you haven't heard of them, are just chicken breasts that have been sliced horizontally to create 2 thinner breast pieces. Next, I'll sprinkle on a modest amount of salt on both sides of the breast. This will act as a quick dry brine that will not only season the meat, but more importantly, the salt will help the meat hold on to its water during cooking, which will make the meat a lot juicier later on. Next, I'll slide one of these salted breasts into a freezer bag, then I'll grab a sturdy saucepan and pound it 10 to 12 times in the thickest part of the breast to turn it into a cutlet. Pounding these thin fillets into a thinner cutlet is going to give us more surface area, which means the chicken can hold more breading. The final cutlet should be about a 1/2 inch thick and evenly flat throughout. And once I've got all 4 of these breast fillets pounded into cutlets, I'll set them aside to dry brine while I grab the greens for the Caesar salad. For this salad, I'm using little gem head lettuce, raw fennel, and lacinato kale. To prep the lettuce, I'll cut it once in half, then turn 90 degrees and chop it down into 1-inch chunks. Next, I'll take 1 bunch of kale and run my knife through it. This stuff is fibrous AF though, so make sure to cut it super thinly. That fiber is going to bring some nice structure to the salad, but if it's cut too thick, it's going to be punishing to chew. Behind the kale, I'll take 1 medium bulb of fennel and slice it thinly on my mandolin. Of course, a knife would totally work if you don't have a mando, but make sure to cut it as thin as possible. Raw fennel just doesn't work in a salad when it's thick. Okay, once my greens are all cut up, I'll need to wash them to remove any dirt or whatever, but also to refresh them. In transit or on the shelves of the grocery store, produce loses a lot of moisture, and that makes it less crunchy in the salad. So for head lettuce, kale, and other shaved raw vegetables, I always hit them with cold water to refresh them before eating them raw. Once I've got these greens sorted out, next I need to make the dressing. First, I'll combine 200 grams of nice tasting mayo, in this case I mean Duke's. There we go. Then in goes 15 grams of Worcestershire, 30 grams of grated parmesan, then 15 grams of anchovy paste. By the way, anchovy paste is a nifty little ingredient that was tailor-made for Caesar dressing. It saves me the hassle of having to drain and chop anchovies, and it tastes almost as good as whole anchovies. Almost.
That was one of the more brutal ones. The texture is unforgivable.
Next in goes 5 grams of Dijon mustard, 20 grams of olive oil, 2 grams black pepper, 3 grams salt, then the juice of half of a lemon, and 1 garlic clove that I'll smash through my garlic press. Next, I'll jump in with a spatula and just stir everything to combine. I'll mention that this is a little bit more of a rustic Caesar, as in the anchovies and the cheese aren't going to be 100% smooth like they would be in a store-bought dressing or the pureed version that I showed you guys 3 weeks ago in my salad dressing 101 video. But having a slightly more rustic texture doesn't matter at all. This dressing still tastes amazing and it's insanely easy to make. Next, let's bread the chicken cutlets. For that, I'll drop a couple of cups of all-purpose flour onto a plate or a little baby sheet tray. Then I'll whisk up 4 eggs and drop those onto a second sheet tray. These are step 1 and 2 of the classic 3-step breading system. Step 3 is a seasoned breadcrumb mix. To make that, I'll combine 150 grams of chunky panko breadcrumbs with 150 grams of Parmesan cheese, specifically the crumbly grated stuff, not shredded because that won't stick to the cutlet. Then I'll add in 3 grams of salt and 3 grams of black pepper and then give everything a few tosses to get it all mixed together. And now we've got chicken Parmesan breading basically, as in 50% cheese, 50% crumbs. To get this breading stuck to the chicken, I'll grab 1 cutlet with a fork, then drop it into the all-purpose flour and press it down a little bit to get as much stuck to the surface as I can. The flour creates a starch bond between the egg protein and the meat. Without it, the breading would slough right off. Next, I'll scoop this chicken out of the flour, shake it off, then drop it into the egg mixture and flip it around 2 or 3 times to make sure that every bit is coated with the egg. And once got this whole thing swimming in egg wash, I'm gonna lift it up and thoroughly drain off any excess eggs. Once this is in the breadcrumb mixture, I'm gonna toss it a few times to get a good base layer of crumbs stuck to the meat. Then I'll scoop some breading on top and press it down to compact it a little bit and to make sure that every little bit of egg has some panko cheese stuck to it. Bare spots are the enemy because not only are they not crispy, but they also let the chicken juices flow out, which will create steam during the fry, which will make the breading release from the meat. Once I got all 4 of these cutlets breaded up, I'm gonna move them over to a sheet tray. Then I'll grab a large non-stick pan and drop it on the stove over medium heat. Once that's hot, I'll add in 6 to 7 glugs of neutral oil, or about a half cup or 100 grams worth. I'm using avocado oil, by the way, but peanut or canola would also work fine. Now, before I shallow fry these, I'm just gonna dip in my instant read thermometer, and as you can see, it's around 350 F. That's the ideal temp. Next, I'm gonna use some tongs to carefully and deliberately drop 2 cutlets into the oil away from my body to prevent any oil from splashing onto my body. Shallow frying is significantly lower risk than deep frying, but it's still half a cup of very hot oil, so we need to respect it and stay frosty when dropping stuff into it. Now I'm gonna let these fry on the first side for about 2.5 minutes while I quickly thank Element for sponsoring this video. Element is a science-backed zero sugar electrolyte drink mix that supports active hydration and a healthy lifestyle. When I'm not in your phone making hyper palatable foods, I try to eat a pretty healthy diet and stay active. For me, that means going hard at the gym a couple times a week and using my infrared sauna. When I'm sweating out there though, I don't just drink water to stay hydrated, because when we sweat, we lose both water and sodium, so we need to replace both to stay hydrated. So I supplement with Element. Element uses a science-backed amount of sodium, potassium, and magnesium that's been shown to lead to optimal health outcomes. Shout out to the orange, grapefruit, and citrus salt flavors, which all taste amazing.
It's like French kissing a grapefruit.
And if you're a fan of sparkling water, which you probably are, just order their sparkling electrolyte water already. It's one of the tastiest beverages, period. Just head to drinkelement.com/Brian Lagerstrom to give Element a try, and you'll get a free sample pack with any purchase. It's totally risk-free, and if you don't like it, they'll refund your order, no questions asked. After 2.5 minutes of shallow frying, I'm gonna come back and take a little sneak peek underneath this chicken, and as you can see, it's beautifully golden brown. So I'm gonna flip these cutlets over, then fry them on the backside for 2.5 more minutes, or until the cheese crust on both sides has reached a godly level of browning. Next, I'm gonna move these over to a wire rack on a sheet tray or a paper towel lined plate to drain off any excessive oil and to let these rest while I drop the other 2 cutlets. When I cut into one, you can see that the ratio of breading to meat is high, which is awesome. And the breading is stuck on perfectly thanks to the dry brine and the proper 3-step breading process. To put it all together into a medium bowl, I'll drop a few handfuls of my salad mix, then a generous sprinkle of grated parmesan, then 2 to 3 large dollops of my speed Caesar. I'll give everything a quick toss, then I'm gonna throw a whole bunch of this salad on top of my warm, juicy cutlet. Then I'll top it with a little bit more dressing, some more Parmesan cheese, and then a few cranks of fresh cracked black peppy. And that's a chicken Caesar salad where the crouton part is actually fried chicken. It's crunchy, it's salty, it's cheesy, and very fresh from the juicy little gem and the fragrant fennel. If you guys want another delicious creative weeknight meal that you can bust out in less than 30 minutes, then check out this video for spicy noodle stir fry. It's an Asian dish, but uses a noodle that you might not expect, and it is mucho delicious. I'll see you there. Now, let's eat this thing.